our programs, AITV on the road, AITV Epic Front, Your Voice, and others. We always do a great job by sharing our programs to different individuals. And today it's a different day. It's for American people. It is a weekend after Thanksgiving, so people celebrated it. People had a lot of food. I ate a lot of food, but thankfully, there's so many things that happen in the world, and we always come together and have a discussion. Think about the future of especially countries like Uganda, how the world is going to be in a few days or few years to come. The young generation, how are they going to benefit? We have had stories about Uganda losing its airport to the Chinese government. Now, Uganda is not the only African country that has lost its airport, or it's going to lose its airport. There are many African countries who borrowed money from the Chinese government or Chinese investors, and technically they don't have enough funds to pay it back. So chances are a lot is yet to be lost. Now the question is your government working for you, or you're working for your government? Tonight, I'm joined by Richard Myombia. He's a senior political analyst here on AITV and a great supporter of the National Unity Platform. And Richard, I'll start by saying a few things here. First of all, you didn't invite me for Thanksgiving. Everyone in the world at least invited me. I did not invite nobody, but I did not receive no text, no email, not even a phone call for Thanksgiving. But how was Thanksgiving?
I was working. Even my children never called me for Thanksgiving. But because for me, my Thanksgiving one day will be in Uganda. When Uganda is out of captivity, then I'll make a good Thanksgiving to the Lord.
Right.
So I cannot celebrate Thanksgiving in America, where my people are being tortured and being killed every day and imprisoned for nothing. So until that day comes when I'll go home and sit down, then I do a very great Thanksgiving. Then I call you David with all my friends.
And then we have some kind of celebrations. But Richard, I want to thank you so much. This week has had so many things going on from this. You know what? I woke up this morning and I was looking at this incident guy or grasshopper guy who was selling in Uganda craft. I thought it was a joke. And it's funny to start this show today by saying that because it made news, not just on social media. People have started thinking about that social media is more about, everybody, TikTok and in Instagram and Facebook. But the reality is, this was very serious. A man selling grasshoppers in a Ugandan aircraft, a national aircraft. This is insane. I don't know whoever watched it, but it's insane. Just even carrying that amount of insanity in the aircraft and without being checked, it leaves a lot of questions. So Richard, let's start with that kind of like a joking story, and then we get to our serious business of politics. But it's true the man was doing a TikTok video, and he made people think about it. He made us laugh, people who have tried to travel a lot. But what image does it create for the Republic of Uganda? Lucky enough, I think there are very few international people who are traveling on that aircraft. There are so many, mostly African people. But what image does that create to the international community and of course, people, international travelers?
Yeah, what it creates, good or bad, but what does it care? Or what does it matter? Because the essence of that, there were grasshoppers on the plane. But if you look at the employers or that employ people to work on the airport and those that work on the airport, they are all on one western side of the country. The administration, even those that are sweeping on the airport, every activity that takes place on the airport is on the western side of the country. But they are the only one that are supposed to get every benefit.
If you're looking at that point, Richard, I want to cut you short a little bit. If you're looking at, the workers are westerners and everything, then how about the seller?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows who can allow someone to go in an international airline and do such a business unless it's connected? That's the essence. Because what we are fighting for in a country is equal opportunity.
And that was one of the equal opportunities.
Every person in Uganda must have an equal opportunity to participate in everything that takes place in police, in the army, in the administration, in every aspect of work.
Right.
Other people have been pushed out of work, and even a sweeper on Entebbe airport comes from either Rwanda or the western side of the government.
But you may be right, but I do have friends who are not from the western part of the country and they work at the airport. So Richard, I don't know how true your allegations are, but let's get back to, I think my producer will find me that video, because I didn't want it to play it at least a certain point so that the world can see it again. This was, one person may say, in America, sometimes there are certain words that we're allowed to use. So I would say this was one of the BS situations that happened on such an international craft that represents Uganda. I mean, how much money has been spent to just market the aircraft so people can start using it? It leaves so many questions. But we heard from the news, and of course, some of our sources, that the Minister of Works, General Katumba Amala, said that all employees are supposed to be fired or suspended. It raised so many questions around there. But let's get back to the real business here. The reason I started with aircraft is because the country is losing millions and millions of money. And on top of that, the country is now going to lose its international airport that was built way back. But Leah, let me, Richard, before you come in, let's play that video of the guy. Let me ask my producer to play it. Look at what the guy was doing. Selling grasshoppers in an international aircraft. First of all, that's not allowed. And look at the image it's creating for the country. I mean, I cannot, and I'm known to say that, look at it.
It's not a good image.
All right, so let me ask my producer to bring us back in the studio. Well, let's look, looking at that video, it leaves us so many questions here. Yes, the man was making money and making fun. Had he communicated to maybe the owners or the people who run the aircraft, that would be okay. But that puts the country down. We are now a joking subject in the world. Everybody's laughing. It's very hard for me to get my luggage and now using the Ugandan aircraft, regardless of what, because I'm not safe. I'm not going to market. I want to go on an aircraft and sit and relax, not to be in a market like it did, like what happened, what we saw. It's a question of what we have to ask. So, Richard, I'm going to come back to you.
The first thing you have to ask me, who owns Entebbe Airport that allowed someone to penetrate until he goes into an aircraft is going to take off
and carry that amount of grasshoppers?
It's owned by Kutesa, because these are personal properties now. Let's go to Uganda. Let's go back to Uganda Airlines. Uganda Airlines, if you look at the name Uganda Airlines, before when they went to Parliament to get the money to buy this aircraft, they had put it Uganda Airlines Limited.
Right.
And the owners behind was even one of the women that I knew when I was young, engineer, something like this. She was an engineer in Uganda Commercial Bank.
Right.
Azuba.
Right.
This Minister of Finance, yes. all these were the owners of this thing.
But
and now when they ask them who owns Uganda Airlines, they cannot tell you who owns it.
So
because it's a secret who owns it. And you say things like that are right in a country. It's a personal business. Someone can do whatever he wants.
All right.
Unless we get back the country to where it's supposed to come and go.
Richard, I want to bring you back to my question that I started with. Uganda is losing its international airport, and there's a time now we're having a Senegal guy playing around in the media, not just in the local media, but all around the world, and now also the country at the same time is losing its airport, the only source of income that people have never given attention to, but millions and millions of money go through international airport, and now it's going to be taken by the Chinese government for money that who knows where that money went, how it was spent. Billions and billions of Ugandan shillings, millions of dollars. Where does that leave the country?
Let's analyze this first. Let's analyze my boss, Robert Kyagulanyi, the president-elect, and let's analyze Museveni, because the problem of the country that we are suffering with is who are Museveni's friends, because they're his friends,
right.
And who are Kyagulanyi's friends.
Right.
Museveni believes friends of the Chinese in the socialist society, and shall go and believes in the Americans and the capitalists and the federal system of government.
Right.
But because Museveni believes in the Chinese, he goes to a Chinese bank, gets money to bail him out to $200 million only.
Right.
And he signs a contract or signs an agreement where the Chinese courts of law are going to handle the disputes in anything.
So who is to blame? Okay, let's look at the millions of money that are going to be that were lost. Or
there were $200 million first.
The reason
by
why
then, now we don't know. We don't know.
Let's look at the facts here. So who is to blame? Uganda has lawyers who are supposed to take control of these issues. Who are supposed to read thoroughly how these agreements are going to be made. And should we blame the government that has lawyers, or should we also look out for these lawyers who made the government officials sign these documents?
Look, when Museveni is doing his business, he does it through the national resistance movement as a personal business for the country.
Right.
He appoints lawyers, appoints everyone he wants to work in the government. Let me give you an example. Recently, there were people that were arrested, that were in the management of the Uganda Airlines. He said, we made a mistake. We are appointed bad people. They appointed bad people to run our international airline business.
But he has the mandate, constitutionally. He has the mandate
because he wrote himself a constitution that gave him all the power. That's what we are fighting for. To have a constitution that works for all people in Uganda and those that want to live in it. That's our struggle. Equal opportunity. Why do you tell me that the lawyers would leave such a clause? Or why did Museveni come to America and gets the money? Free money.
No, there is nothing like a free money. You and I know that American government doesn't give free money.
Okay. Now, David, we are going to make a real discussion here, political discussion.
Right.
I'm going to give you an example.
And more than willing to engage you today, since we are just two of us. Right.
And there are two ways, and a working example. In 1948, we have the state of Israel.
Right.
Dr. Weizmann, who was one of the founders, and Ben-Gurion, as soon as the country was formed, he comes to America and said, look, I want you to lend me money. In 1948, they were lent $100 million. That's almost $1 trillion today. Wait, David, and I explained to you very well. This money was to help to start rebuilding the country from scratch. If you look at the history of Israel, from 1948 to 1956, the country had been established and was well maintained and was moving towards, and we were paying the debts.
Right.
And condition like the condition of China. I have never heard, I've been making a research since yesterday when this topic came up.
Right.
I've been making a research. Did Israel or America have a breach in contract? Or were there an attachment that the Congress of the USA attached to Israel to take any of its properties that were rebuilding Israel?
Well, the issue is very simple. I lend you money. You fail to pay back the money. What do you give?
Okay,
now actually you put in place.
Yes,
you're gonna put it in the national airport. So as a collateral, we're not getting the money.
Now let me give you an example.
Blame the Chinese government, or we blame the Ugandan government for failure to make the payment.
Okay, you go in the name of Uganda. You Museveni, you go in the name of Uganda. You borrow money when you have such a corruption in the country that you appoint people and your own people to take over the airline and the airport of the country. These people, all the funds they collect, they put them in their own pockets so that they cannot pay back the money that was lent. $200 million. When I came to America, the income or the bank money that this man, Museveni's brother, had on his account was $2 billion. That is 21 years ago. This is Salim Saleh as personal money. Museveni is boasting every day that he has made wealth for himself. If he has made wealth for himself, and if an international airport like that Uganda has is in a crisis, why can't he go and get money?
Personal money does not.
No. Because if you make a mistake, if I make a mistake as a leader, and on my account I have $100 billion, for the sake of the country that I'm leading, if I'm a true leader, I'll just go and get $200 million or $300 million and pay back the Chinese so that my mistakes are covered. I'll lose nothing because I'm the one who made this mistake. So now we are going to mortgage this airport for 165 years.
Right.
165 years. Do you think the Ugandans are happy? What must be done to recover this? It's only NUP that is going to have an alternative to recover the properties that were mortgaged by this government in power. You are asking me how?
How? That's a question.
Look, we have been telling you these things when we come and tell it here, like the Great Marshall Plan that America has. Every friend that America has, they give you money, they lend you money, even if 100 years. So long as you fight the corruption, and you give them a plan that will pay this money openly. That's why Chagwen told them, you people, as soon as I take power, I'm going to borrow money to have a bailout for the country. The country is in debt. We have a case of Congo, $10 billion. We have everything that the country must get revenues in. They were shared by its own people, or we are given to the Chinese for small kickbacks. So, we are going to make sure that we fight for our country and we bail out the country. And everyone that is involved in this corruption, even if you're a retired minister,
Richard,
you'll be responsible.
That takes me back to previously you and I had a discussion here about the opposition politics in Africa, in Uganda, between the National Unity Platform and the FDC and other political organizations. And you always claim that the National Unity Platform has an agenda to bring about unity in the country, to bring about development in the country. But the key things that we have to look at here, Uganda is losing almost all its assets to international lenders. Number two, you have a bad image being created by Ugandans, not just the government people, but Ugandans, someone like this one who was selling grasshoppers in the plane. Then you have another problem of city bombs. But let's start with the city bombs. According to analysis, I know you and I had talked about this before, but according to analysis, where do you see the situation of the country? Now that you say NUP has the potential to bring about peace, NUP has the potential to bring about economic development, NUP has the potential to do A, B, C, and D. What would you do? In such a situation, the country is losing its airport, bombs attacking the country. Everything is now negative, including MP summoning your first lady.
Okay, now let's go. Where do you want to begin?
Let's start with the image. The country is facing right now. It's losing almost everything is having. On top of that, there are bombs going on in the country.
Okay.
What would you do?
The first image of the country is Museveni killing the citizen of the country. There's no person that can kill the citizens of the country like when Museveni kills flies in Uganda. That's what we are fighting for. The second thing, Uganda does not have external enemies and internal enemies. Those that are fighting to get Museveni out of power is because he has overstayed in power and he has denied people democracy, equal rights, employment, and everything. Is wrong. It is Museveni the problem. This is not a joke. People are not employed. You take their land, you take their border, you pick them at night and kill them. What do you think the people must do? Uganda does not have enemies. I saw yesterday in one of the Facebook, this Katolugwama, and he was calling because there are army soldiers on the gates of Blangemeng. Does Uganda have enemies with ADF that you're protecting it? No. Museveni has created his own instability in the country to keep himself in power. Don't you tell me that someone comes from Congo that is fighting to get Museveni out of power in the name of ADF. Because if you look at the newspaper that I was reading, there are 300 rebel groups in Congo. Why doesn't he mention them? They are those Hutus from Burundi. They are among the people that are going to pass through Uganda. They are Hutus from Rwanda that are going to pass through Uganda to go back to their country. There are people that have been fighting Museveni. The ADF is just 1%. The reason why Museveni is creating this instability in the country is to go to the international community. You people, the enemies have come to my capital city. You must bail me out. You must give me funds. You must give me intelligence. You must give me weapon and credibility to stay in the government.
All right, Richard,
that's the reason.
I want to go back to the audience and I think we want to talk a little bit with the audience for now, Richard. Just a second. There are a number of questions that we have discussed here today, and I want to get some answers from our viewers on Facebook and other social media platforms, those who watch us from social media. The question is, the country is losing almost all its national assets. Remember, there was a time of oil. Looks like Uganda doesn't own oil anymore. Now the international airport is no longer owned by Ugandans. The media tells us they are soon taking it over. But in actual sense, it seems like it's already taken. Look at now the Senate guy with the images being created all around the world. First of its kind. People trading in an aircraft that is carrying passengers from one point to another. Where does that leave the country? And who do you think, according to you, who do you think is the problem? Do you already think this is a Museveni's problem, or just people not doing their job when they are appointed? Or do you think maybe it's business as usual, that we should just take over and take on and just appreciate? I want to hear from you, our viewers. I want to get some points from you. And before we finish up the show today, I'll do some work here to read some of your comments. Richard, I'm back to you. You talked about the number of criminals and groups that are fighting against President Museveni and those that are in DR Congo, and you say that could be the reason why we have institute. And according to my understanding from your point of view, it looks like you were saying that President Museveni and his government are responsible for all the problems that we're seeing today in the country, the violence that is being created in the country. They're responsible for the wars that we see in the country. They're responsible for these city bombs that we saw recently. How true is your statement?
Okay, let me tell you something. No stupid person, forgive me for such a word, can destroy a crucial evidence in case of terror. Don't tell me that someone has been caught, that has been recruiting young people into a rebellion, and you shoot him cold-blooded in face of his children and wife with a crucial evidence. Why do you kill people on spot if they have crucial evidence? I'm going to give you an example. There was a city bombing here in Boston, and I was almost there, half a mile away.
Right.
It was open. It was a terror attack. The whole world was shown cameras. How it happened, how they were planted. The man was arrested. He was put on a trial. There were statements. There were examination. There were confession. And the man was sentenced to death. I don't know if he has been killed already. In an open court of law. Why does Museveni kill all the people? The Katumba incident, that the ADF were killing, they were killed in cold blood. No evidence. Case closed. These people that have been killed, well, we arrested a man. When you see people going to the NTV guy, this is Solomon Kawesa, something like that. He went and made an interview in the neighborhood.
Right.
This young man was picked up from the house and was shot. Someone who's a bomb, you shoot him without him revealing all the details of his connections. Do you think the world is a foolish world that they cannot see that you're silencing for such a reason? I'm going to give you an example. There's this blogger that is in Butabika that took the video of the actual footage that was put there when it was happening.
Right.
Do you know what he said? The government confiscated his video, put him in a drone, and was injected with drugs, and is in the Butabika hospital. He had the real original. The man the government said that brought the bag, put it down, was wrong. The man saw exactly what was happening there. Why would you silence such evidence unless the evidence you're silencing is against you for an international image? Let me give you another example. I have it on record here. A minister was saying, we want the international community to help us. The terrorism is in our country. So all these things are being done for Museveni to get an international attention, to give him
Sympathy?
money, women, sympathy, and everything, because he has lost it. People are dying, the soldiers are dying, the police are dying.
Right.
Because he's playing games to stay in power. The Chagwani plan is this. Uganda does not have enemies.
That's where I was going.
Yes, Uganda does not have enemies. We are going to settle conflicts If people are fighting against Museveni, what is the reason why are they fighting?
How sure should Ugandans be? Let's look at our neighboring countries like Sudan and others, Burundi, Ethiopia now, and all those neighboring countries. The argument has always been we are fighting to take down this government to win. Let's look at Libya. Up to today, nothing has changed.
No.
So what assurance? What assurance do you think your party, NUP, can give Ugandans that after all this, that after taking down President Museveni's government, there's going to be peace, there's going to be the economic development, and social improvement? What assurance? According to you,
let's begin with Rwanda.
Right.
The conflict between Rwanda and Uganda. Museveni has failed to work out the problem of Museveni and Kagame.
Right.
Because Kagame is saying, look, there are Rwandan people that are Hutu, that are in the security system of Uganda. And they have economic opportunities where they get the funds to fight against me to get me out of power, to destabilize Rwanda. On the other hand, there are 1 million people, if more or less, that are in the jungles of Congo.
Right.
They are Hutus. Their homeland is not Congo. Their homeland is Burundi. What would you do? The only way to finish this conflict is how can we work out that Kagame can accept? Let me give you an example. On Regima. I knew Regima personally. When Regima was being decorated with, when Museveni was giving out ranks, he invited Habyarimana. Invited him in Uganda and said, you know what is happening? These boys are Rwandan, you know it.
All right, so Richard...
Wait, they have been fighting and they are going back to Rwanda. They want to go back home peacefully. Can you allow them to go back peacefully?
All right.
Habyarimana said, no, I'm not going to allow them peacefully to return home. So now you're having people that are fighting in Congo,
right,
and part of them are Rwandans.
All right.
Okay?
So, Richard...
And you're not telling me that it's a conflict that we need to settle and work out the problem.
Right. So Richard, I want to get back to the key point here, and I wanted our viewers to just have to get some of the views that our viewers have been sending, because I put up a question: what do they think could be the biggest problem that is causing Uganda to be living in a situation in which it is today? Well, I'm still waiting for more my comments to come from my producer, and Richard, I think I'll be coming back to you on the same issue. You talked about security. You talked about improvement and unity that National Unity Platform can bring to the agenda of the country. But the number of questions we have to ask ourselves, yes, it's true that the National Unity Platform can bring about peace and unity. But the opposition has failed to bring about that unity that everybody else has been talking about. The National Platform and the opposition of FDC, JM, and other political parties are divided. So, you who is watching us today, do you really think the opposition, including the National Unity Platform, which is now the biggest political organization in the country, do you think they're the solution to the problem that Richard and I have been discussing on today? Send us your comments. Richard, I want to come back to you, and I ask the same question to the audience, and I also want to ask the same question to you. Mm-hmm. You say you can bring about development and unity and improvement, but even the opposition has not yet worked out itself to bring about that success you're talking about.
David,
right,
for the time, you're my dear moderator, let me tell you something that is more important.
Right.
You'd ask me, Richard, what is the way forward to stabilize the economic situation, rebuilding the country, and bring about lasting peace in the country?
Correct.
First of all, the changing of a political system, because Museveni goes to China, because he favors the model of communism and socialism as his friends.
Correct.
Chagwan has this American system of government.
Right.
That is number one.
Right.
Number two is this, that the security system of the country.
Yep.
Museveni has a security system that favors communism.
Right.
A system of government. And for us, we are saying no. We are going to ask the Ugandan in a referendum, what do they want? Do they want the mode of security system that you have in America, in a federal system of government, where the police is not in the control of the president, where the security system
Right.
are in the control of the people. Because Uganda does not have enemies. If they have enemies, if people have gone out of hand because they are not employed and they don't have any hope until they fight to get Museveni out, we have the best working program to bring jobs in the country.
All right, Richard, my producer has sent me some of the comments that are coming up from our viewers, but let me go through some of them. One of them, I think, is called Love Bobby, says, Museveni is the terrorism in Uganda, and the biggest problem we have in Uganda is Museveni and his group. So that one of the comments that I'm reading, then the other point is from Florence Chima, says, nobody's fighting Museveni. Dictator Museveni is fighting for himself. I'm still reading more comments. The other point that my producer says, Oruka Joseph says, brother, no need of asking who is the problem. Of course, you know the answer. You're also a political activist. All right, so I wanna come back to to you, Richard. The reason why we raise such points is because now you see different views from different individuals, what they think and how the economy is moving. So, Richard, I want to come back to you. Pretty Citizen says there is no opposition in Uganda. It only NUP. That's why others have been done since Museveni came. NUP is to begin. So let me. I think if I can raise that point together, I think it's like there is no any other opposition apart from National Unity Platform. But your organization, which is now the biggest political party in the country, has not worked enough to bring about the unity that I think some people will say the initial people power that used to involve NRM supporters and other political organizations. So the question to you is, do you really think what you're talking about here is practical? And do you think Ugandans can believe what you're saying practically that can be implemented in the country and the situation we have right now?
Let's come up with the employment, because the problem is facing unemployment. That's why people are going out of the country.
Right.
Based on the previous readings that I have, or testaments I have, of America bailing out West Germany after the war, America going to Iraq, the rebuilding, they call it the Great Marshall Plan.
Right.
The Chagwani Plan is this, or the National Unity Platform is this, or President-elect is this. We shall borrow $1 trillion US. $1 trillion.
Right.
You know why they are going to give it to us? I'm going to give you an example. If I want you to go and read the statement that were written down by Biden when he was passing out the $2 trillion for the reconstruction of the American project. He said our biggest enemy that we are doing this for the reconstruction, why we have passed this bill that is going to reconstruct all the airport, modernize the roads and flyways and everything, is to counter the state of China.
Right.
Okay. If the state of China is in America, and America and China is getting and China is traveling on a free lane in Africa.
Right.
If we come out with a proposal, because if we put out Uganda as a working model in a reconstruction, because America is our friend.
Right.
Is a friend of Chagwe.
Right.
And they can give us money to reconstruct the country, to bail us out, to build new roads, to build.
All right. Richard, I want to stop you a little bit and come back to the audience. I apologize for that, because a number of points that were raised on our social media, and I'm looking at some of our other comments that came up. Let me ask my producer to present them to me so I can read them. Some of our Sunday UG says, man, you're very right. You people who are in America just report Museveni to the White House. For us who are here, our violence can't reach. Please, we are like in the prison. Our airport has been taken. Our portal had been taken, and I think I'll continue that comment. Let me ask my producer to give me just 3 more comments, and then I'll be all set. Nathan Lay says, democracy, not arms. Secretary Lincoln. My producer's driving me so fast, so I'll just pause on a few things. He says, all right. So let me come back to the audience, and I want to appreciate all the comments that you've just brought in, because they really show that the discussion is flowing so fast and it's going so good. One person says, this is Kakai Juliet Alket, says, GMA, FDC, DP, UPC, all working for the dictator. Now, Richard, this is the kind of political atmosphere that most Ugandans are facing today. The people that you say that could support the national platform, could support different political organizations, they are divided. One person says ABC and D organization works for President Museveni, and so we cannot support it. And then the Museveni propagandists will also come up and say, well, we'll work with the national unity platform. So the unity they're talking about that can bring about development in the country, the unity they're talking about that can bring about social improvement in the country, is practically not possible because of such problems that are affecting the opposition in the country. I don't know how you can defend that, but please go ahead.
Let me tell you something. The days before People Power came, I used to be an activist, and I was working with Dr. Kizza Besigye. In one of the question I posed to him, I asked him, but we see our land friend Betty Kamya, we used to have the Uganda Federal Alliance.
Right.
He used to come here, do town hall meeting, like a very serious person in the opposition, removing Museveni. And I asked Besigye that for our own interest as people fighting for federalism and in Uganda, why wouldn't you work with Betty Kamya in the FDC? I said, look, for me, I'm on the ground. I know what is happening. Betty Kamya at night goes to Museveni. And I said, Besigye, are you sure with this? And Besigye told me that I'm so sure that Betty Kamya, you see here doing the death cry, removing Museveni at night, he goes to Museveni. That's why I cannot trust him and work with him. What is happening today, it was true. So Robert Kyagulanyi, our leader, is doing the same. All these people that are working with Museveni indirectly, look at what Besigye is doing now. He's working with Museveni. You cannot tell him that you work with these people, that you are going to discuss strategies and ways to remove the dictator from power, when at night they're in State House collecting bags of money and giving him information of everything that happened. That's the reason why he says, no, we should go our own way to liberate a country. People are not trusted. The true leadership of people today in the country, they are looking for prestige, for give me money, give me this.
That's Richard, and that's what we have seen in your opposition politics. Most of the leaders who were appointed, and I wanted to end with this tonight. Most of the leaders, much as the media has done a bad job in bringing about or promoting development in the country, much as the media has done all the wrong stuff, the media is to be blamed. But let's look at also the politicians. You remember that time before 2021 general elections, before we voted for these MPs in the opposition, those we had big hopes in, and today they are quiet, nobody's saying any word, when the same things they used to talk about, they used to fight against, the propaganda they used to influence you to vote for them is still the same. The challenges are still the same, roads are still bad, hospitals are still bad in the constituencies they represent. The same opposition politicians. Today, some are dining with President Museveni's government, and the others are quiet on the key issues that affect people. Now, Richard, this was my last comment, and I thank my producer for reminding me before we end the show. You promised Ugandans, as people in the opposition, you promised Ugandans that, we are going to bring milk and honey. Yes, it's true that your leader, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, did not win the elections. At least you say he won the elections, but he was not declared.
For me, I know he won the election.
Yeah, he was not declared.
The facts are there.
He was not declared, so he's not the president of the country.
Yeah, but we are going to recover that election.
So we are going to recover that election. Let's look at facts first. He was not declared the president of the country. He's not the president of the country.
But we shall recover. He's going to become a president. We are not fools.
But Richard, on top of that,
we are not amateurs in politics.
Richard, on top of that. The leaders, the members of parliament, the local leaders from your camp as your opposition, not just the National Unity Platform, are letting down the people. How are you going to promise Ugandans that this time, if we vote for President A, we are going to have the development we need, if the leaders whom they put all their trust have laid them down?
Look, David, let me tell you for you, even our viewers on the record.
Right.
We are not fighting for a new election. We are fighting for an election that we won, and that's what we shall win, And that's how Chagwan will go to State House in Entebbe. You just wait. We are, for the record, we are not fighting for a new election.
Right.
We are fighting for Chagwan to go and possess what the people voted him to take. For the record, it's said by me. That's it. For the rest of the other things, we can discuss how we are going to bring jobs. That's a very big topic. Because we told you that we are going to borrow, in the Marshall Plan, we are going to borrow $1 trillion. And we shall get it. We shall build new roads. We shall put everyone to work. We shall build the entire economy to function. If the money is not enough, we shall borrow more.
All right.
We shall create industries. We shall build hospitals, because our friends in a tiny country like Uganda have the money. And they are at war with our enemy, China.
All right. Richard, I want to thank you so much. And to our viewers, we want to thank you so much for watching AI TV. We are the biggest media network here that talks more about African issues. And we appreciate every single time you put into our viewers in Nigeria and our shows that focus on other countries. We really appreciate you, our viewers. And for Ugandans, we appreciate you for watching at the Epic Front. AI TV on the road. Very soon we'll be coming up again with another interview. But very soon we'll be hosting Dr. Besigye and a number of questions that we want to ask him. I want you, as our viewer, to send us those questions you feel like he needs to answer. This is going to be a debate between us as AI TV, you as our viewer, who is our family, and Dr. Besigye. We need to ask a number of questions. The promises he has always made to Ugandans, will he be in position to fulfill them? And will he ever join Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the leader of the National Unity Platform, now the current biggest man in the opposition politics of the country? Will these two ever come to an agreement and say, yes, now is the time to work together? Just as how President Museveni and his friends or former enemies worked together to overthrow previous governments. Can they borrow a leaf from that? AI TV, The Epic Front. My name is David Rubura, and I want to thank you again for watching our shows. See you again next time, same day. It could be different weather. USA is now getting cold. Cold, not cold. I apologize for that. But I want to thank you so much for watching AI TV. Coming up next is Your Voice. See you again. Richard, I want to thank you for joining me again, and hope to have you again next Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
You are watching AI TV. AI TV, connecting the diaspora.